So okay, so the screen is visible on your screens or not? Thank you. So, yes, thank you, sir. So today is the third day of my presentation of the season three, and the topic I have chosen is deconstruction and the Yale School, and the second part of this presentation will be deconstruction in practice. So let us begin the slideshow. Okay, so I have taken some introductory part here of the Yale School. So the Yale University here is there. So the Yale School of Criticism. The Yale School is the term commonly used to describe the work of five outstanding scholars. So the Yale School, like any other Indian or any other literary criticism school, then we are having this Yale School here. So there are five base, or rather five, foundational figures of this Yale School. Like first one is Harold Bloom. Second one is Paul Dima. Third one is Jacques Derrida, and fourth one is Geoffrey Hartman, and the fifth one is Joseph Hills Miller. Joseph Hillis Miller. So, and second point is that it is often referred to as the Yale School of Deconstruction or even as American Deconstruction in general. So, the Yale University is situated in America. That is why the name is given like this, American Deconstruction. And the third point is while Dieman used the term deconstruction, and both Derrida and Miller remained aligned with this term throughout the writing. The connection between Bloom and Hartman and deconstruction is less obvious here. So the fourth, last one is here, that the only significant volume produced by the Yale Quintet. So quintet means the group of five people. Okay, the group which consists of five people. Together is the collection of essay, deconstruction and criticism. So there is an essay, this deconstruction and criticism, published in 1979, in which each critic contributes an essay on Shelley's The Triumph of Life. So the things that, and let us move ahead. So first is Harold Bloom, and I will just read these highlighted point. That is these points, and the second point coming down to Harold Bloom's The Anxiety of Influence. So he is having a seminal book, The Anxiety of Influence, has cast its own long shadow influence since it was first published in 1973. So in that book, he this kind of describes the relations between tradition and the individual artist, as we are having this. T.S. Eliot, that he also talks about traditional and individual talent. So here somewhere regarding this poetry, relations between tradition and the individual artist is being discussed by this critic, that is Harold Bloom. So poetic misprision is also a good concept given by him, and the misreading, that the Bloom asserts that the anxiety of influence comes out of a complex act of strong misreading, a creative interpretation he calls poetic misprision. Uh, so the misreading of poetry sometimes happens. That is the term. It was termed by Harold Bloom as poetic misprision. So the influence anxiety does not so much concern the forerunner, but rather is an anxiety achieved in and by the story, novel, play, poem, or essay. So no concern with who is writing the thing or poetry or any novel, but how we are interpreting that. With that, the concern is there. And the second one is Paul Dima. Paul Dima, he was a Belgian-born literary critic and literary theorist. And so the second one coming down to the main argument of Diman's seminal essay can be stated as follows: the grounds of literary meaning. So the grounds of literary meaning, and by extension all meaning, must be located in rhetoric rather than in any of the other possible dimensions: form, content, reference, grammar, logic. So we have to focus on the meanings, that how much meaning we can generate from whatever our reading is, and but not this content, reference, grammar, logic. Everything will be there indeed, but what is our interpretation is being emphasized here. But a rhetorical reading cannot guarantee authority over interpretation. So nobody can authorize their interpretation, that it is the authorized interpretation. So many are free, or rather we are free to interpret the way we want, but it is not the way we want, whatever we interpret, but we must have some logical argument behind our interpreting the text. So it is dealt with it. So here it is also discussed like so. Therefore, there is no authority that can guarantee a reading. So the reading is also not guaranteed by any authority. So this does not license us to read the text just any way we want to. So it is not that just the way we want to read the text, we will be allowed to do so. But it will not do. But rather it commits us to readings that take a full account of the possibilities and limits of reading and writing. So the full account of possibilities of reading and writing must be taken care about while interpreting any text according to Paul Dima. And one name for these possibilities and limits might be deconstruction. So again, it is revolving around this main concept. That is the key concept of our presentation. That is deconstruction. So it must be deconstructive in a sense. So the demand begins by noting a decline in what he calls formalist and intrinsic criticism. The formalist and intrinsic. So let us move ahead. And the third one, a very major figure in this school, among the five, it is Sir Jacques Derrida. So Sir Jacques Derrida, the founder of deconstruction, so as a theory or as a propounder, the founder, the deconstruction, Sir Jacques Derrida is there. So a way of criticizing. So what is deconstruction basically? A way of criticizing not only both literary and philosophical text, but also political institutions as well. So it is not only related to the literature or whatever the literary writings are, but it is coming outside of the departments of English right here in this university. So it is concerning itself with this political aspect of the nation, of the country, of the this political or any kind of stratum like this. So although Derrida at times expressed regret concerning the fate of the word deconstruction, its popularity indicates the wide-ranging influence of his thought. So the wide range should be there in deconstruction theory, in philosophy, in literary criticism and theory, in art, and in particular architectural theory, and in political theory as well. So it is not only limited to the literary text and literary theory. It vasts itself in so many aspects of life. Even in science field also, there are many things also like this. And the Derrida usually changes the terms or orthography. For example, writing difference with an A as difference in order to indicate the change in its status. So like first we are having this word difference, diffference. So difference means something that is not going aligned with something what is proposed, like something not similar to the other. But here Derrida is proposing the term difference, putting a instead of e, like difference. So difference, there are then according to this word we can derive two meanings. First is difference, that to deviate from what is there, and second is defer. It means to postpone. Defer, it means postpone. So why do we need to postpone? Because when we are interpreting some text, then we cannot say it is the ultimate meaning. We have to postpone our interpretation. Like it can be, or there can be some more also. So there is no that the whole loop is like this. It is unlimited. It is like everlasting loop. That we cannot reach to a particular position that okay, this is this. It will also lead to something else, like in order to indicate the change in status or difference which is found in appearances when we recognize the temporal nature, then refers to the undecidable resource into which metaphysics cut in order to make its decision. Like, and the third, in his 1993 Spectres of Marx, say again the Marxism reference is coming here. So he is writing a book, Spectres of Marx, in 1983. The publishing thing was there. So where Derrida insisted that a deconstructed or criticized Marxist thought is still relevant to today's world despite globalization, and that a deconstructed Marxism consists in a new messianism of a democracy to come. And the structure, sign and play in the this discourse is also taken here. So there are two famous quotations. Like the first one is Derrida states that the mark of the absence of a presence, an always already absent present, of the leg at the origin, that is the condition of thought and experience. So here again the things are emphasized, like we have to read absence over present. So whatever is proposed, like suppose we are having this post-colonial argument, like the colonizers are writing the history of those who are being colonized by them. So we have to read the absence over presence. Rather, okay. So what is proposed to us? Like two lines are there. We have to read between lines. So there is a phrase reading between the lines. So it must be whenever we are just deconstructing any text. And the second thing, the very famous quotation or the very oft quoted statement given by Sir Jacques Derrida is, language bears within itself the necessity of its own critic. So in language, when we want to criticize the language, when we want to criticize something that is written, rather that is expressed through the medium of language, then we have to find a loophole in the language that is spoken, that is written, or anything like that. So the loophole is there. So and other things. The fourth one is Sir Geoffrey Hartman. So here we find that Geoffrey Hartman, who opposed Anglo-American formalism, he opposes Anglo-American formalism, brought continental thought. So continental thought, the universality of the literature, brought continental thought to North American literary criticism and championed criticism as a creative act. So criticism as a creative act was championed by him. It is very rarest of the rare thing seen here in the field of criticism as well. So the Hartman advocates the use of incomplete references. So he advocates the use of incomplete references and seek a critical language that is highly figurative and critical at the same time. So you are given not the whole full-fledged thing, but you are given the incomplete references, and at the same time you are given this, this highly figurative and critical the interpretation of this thing at the same time. And Hartman regards criticism as inside literature. So criticism is there inside the literature. So it is not outside literature. So that is why, like this language-based necessity of its own critic within itself. So it is inside it, the literature. The criticism is inside the whatever is written. So Best argued in his essay Crossing Over. So he is writing an essay Crossing Over literary commentary as literature. He argues that critical reading should not seek mean, but should reveal the contradictions and equivocations in a text meaning. So, see, what is here, like critical reading should not seek meaning only. Okay, so it is not about just deriving meaning out of anything that we are criticizing, especially the literary text, but should reveal the contradictions and equivocation in a text. So, what kind of like conflicts are there? What kind of binaries are put in there, and what kind of similarities are raised by the author? So Hartman rejects the death of the subject and the idea of unlimited free play. For Hartman, the Derridian notion of the complete undecidable is unacceptable. So he is the fifth one is Sir Joseph Ellis Miller. So the prominent Yale critic, Joseph Ellis Miller's concept, the critic as a host. So he's coming up with his theory like critic as a host. That he proposed in journal Critical Inquiry, third volume. So here you will find this Critical Inquiry. So it is published by Chicago University. Critical Inquiry, third volume, published in 1977, could be viewed as a reply to M.H. Abrams. So as we are having this Philip Sidney's reply to Stephen Gosson in this poesy and the thing. So like at the same thing, like M.H. Abrams is also writing the deconstructive angle, and for which or to the to give a response to this J.L. Miller is writing the critic as a host or Critical Inquiry, third volume, published in 1977. So now what happens? The conflict is there between M.H. Abrams and Joseph Ellis Miller. So what conflict is there? Let us see. In his essay, Abrams had argued that there is a fixed univocal meaning. So he is, just limiting the meaning. There is a fixed and univocal meaning. So there can be multi-vocal meaning. Like there cannot be any other thing. Like only this thing can be derived out of whatever we are doing, whatever we are reading, or whatever we are criticizing. So there cannot be something else according to this M.S. Abrams. But meaning for a text, and if we use deconstructive strategies, history will become an impossibility. So what is telling that we can distort, or rather we may distort, or we might distort history by putting the deconstructive strategies while interpreting any text. But Miller replied that univocal and determinate meaning is an impossibility, as history also is. So we cannot even rely on the historical sources we are right now having, because there are still some dilemma about so many things, so many aspects. Like some will have different voice, some will have the different voice. The year even not are decided properly. So that is why this Miller's argument becomes very quite correct here. That Miller replied that univocal, it means only one meaning, and determinate, it means very limited meaning, is an impossibility, as history also is. So history also is an impossibility we can stand upon. And now, so Miller begins the essay with a crucial question. So in his essay, he asks a question. So when a text contains a citation from another text, it is like a parasite in the main text, or is it the main text that surrounds? Is it the main text surrounds and strangles the citation? So here, it is not the idea that was liked by Miller. Like many people tend to see the deconstructionist reading as a parasite on its host, the univocal reading. Okay, and let us go ahead. Yes. So the deconstruction is also there. The deconstruction was both created and has been profoundly influenced by the French philosopher, as we referred to him earlier, like Sir Jacques Derrida. Derrida, who coined the term deconstruction, argues that in why he felt a need to coin out this term, or rather propound this theory. Like there was a need, like what need he felt like this in Western culture. People tend to think and express their thoughts in terms of binary oppositions, like binary, like there are two groups are there, and if you are not, so for example, let me explain for the sake of explanation, like two groups are there, and one group is asking you to join them, and another one is asking to you do the same. But when you are not standing with them, but you are going with them, or rather you want to stand alone, but then they will find, okay, either you are with us or with them. So it is the thing, this binary opposition are created, like day and night, black and white are there, male, female, all the things are there, but it is for that matter only. Opposition, white, black, masculine, feminine, cause, effect, conscious, unconscious, presence, absence, speech, writing, so everything is there. So Derrida suggests these oppositions are hierarchies in miniature. So these oppositions, why do we have this opposition, or rather this binary? Because we want to identify certain things, because I want to identify male over female and female over male. So I am having this binary or this opposition. But what happens is that it is there, it is the hierarchy in miniature. So it becomes a hierarchy form. Like, see, binary is put like this, so it is not one above the other, but hierarchy means what? This is hierarchy, so it is hierarchy in miniature. So when you come down to the cultural thing, cultural criticism, then you will find this hierarchy is that femininity is being overpowered by masculinity, or that is why we are having in majority part of this world the patriarchal society there. So that is why this term is, it is the hierarchy in miniature, containing another considered negative or inferior. So there is the concept of superiority and inferiority. So it is not the binary that both will go in a line manner, but it will go overlap each other. So then it creates a master-slave kind of relationship, if you want to say. And even if only slightly so. Slightly is also there. Okay. Through deconstruction, Derrida aims to erase the boundary between binary opposition. So what is the chief, or rather the core aim of him this propounding the theory? Like he wants to erase the boundary between binary oppositions. So there should not be any kind of hierarchical position, but there should be binary just for the sake to identify the things from one another or each other, and to do so in such a way that the hierarchy implied by the oppositions is thrown into question. So that is why this hierarchy is thrown into question while doing the deconstructive reading. Okay, so we will see it in the further slide when we will be putting this into practice with some Indian mythological references. So now deconstruction involves the close reading of texts in order to demonstrate that any given text has irreconcilably contradictory meanings rather than being a unified logic whole. So here deconstruction involves the close reading of text. So it is not the like refilling the pages and doing the thing, but it will be like close reading of the text. You will have to be conscious on each and every lines that you are reading. Okay, you have to connect the dots, like you have to refer to this like this thing, whatever you have read before and whatever you are gonna read afterwards. So whatever you are reading from that point, in order to demonstrate that any given text, has irreconcilably, it means there is no coherence, there is no like a connection in that term. We can say irreconcilably contradictory meaning. So there can be contradictory meaning, like whatever is proposed to us, it does not mean that it is the way it is there. So there can be some opposition into it, like. So rather than being a unified and logical whole, so it might refute the logical paradigm if we read in that way. This deconstructive way of reading happens, so it refutes the logical paradigm that is there in the structuralism, and that is why this age is called post-structuralism. That is the breaking the boundaries that was proposed by structuralist criticism and critics and these authors also. Okay. Okay, so for the sake of this deconstruction in practice, I have taken here is a verse or sloka from Bhagavad Gita, which is helpful in understanding the feminine place. So I have taken the Indian mythology, and for that I'm just referring to one sloka from this Bhagavad Gita to understand the feminine place in history, and taken in order to do a deconstructive reading concerned with historical as well as mythical social values. So how social values, as we were seeing in the hierarchical position that was proposed by Sir Derrida. So here one this slok is taken. So it is the sloka, this Adhyaya or chapter 9 and 32. Like this is the sloka. So I am just reading for the sake of this Sanskrit transliteration. Mam hi partha vyapasritya yepi syuh papayonayah triyo vaisyas tatha sudraste piyanti param gatim. So it is the thing as sloka, and here is the translation of that sloka. The ocean of Pratha, that is Arjuna, those who take shelter in me, me here is Krishna, or he is referring to him as God, though they be of lower birth. Okay, so the lower birth is also coming here. So the hierarchy is coming here. If we consider the deconstruction here, women, they are coming down in this hierarchy strata, or this stratum of this lower birth. Like women are there, Vaisyas or merchants, mercantile class we want to say, and Sudras, workers, can attain the supreme destination. So this hierarchy is simply put in this sloka. Like, so there are lower birth hierarchy. There is binary, but it is again this hierarchy coming. So the one, this we are having this four varna like this Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. So this is coming in the hierarchical position, not in the align in this binary position, or rather this opposition like these things. But the hierarchy is there, so the superiority, inferiority will be there, and on that ground there may be unjust practices that we want to read out of this deconstructive reading or reading between line things. And I have taken some excerpt, or rather from this book. Like Prabhupada writes in his purport of 7th sloka of 16th chapter. So though that Bhagavad Gita as it is, so there is a book Bhagavad Gita as it is, and the purported, it was purported by this Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, and here he writes in this 7th sloka of the 16th chapter in the 7th sloka that in the purport, it is not the translation, it is the purport. It means you can say you are giving some commentary on that, not the translation of the real sloka, but the commentary of what you think on the sloka. Then this comes in front of us, that how the place, woman's place was there in the ancient mythical India, or rather in this Manu Samhita was there at that time. So now in the Manu Samhita, it directly refers to that. It is clearly stated that a woman should not be given freedom. So see the things, that woman should not be given the freedom. It is stated in Manu Samhita like this the thing. And actually a woman should be given protection at every stage of life. See, if we want to do some deconstructive reading, then we say the woman should be given protection at every stage of life. So it means, it can be seen like the woman is not safe. If whatever is needed, this protection, then it means the very person is not safe. So by whom it is the person is not safe? Then the patriarchal society. So here we can read the patriarchal society was very cruel towards women. That is why the women were needed this protection in that manner. So she should be given protection by the father, as Vachalata was also referred to, very good in manner. So she should be given protection by the father in her younger days. When you are a child, as a girl, then your father should be your protector. And by the husband in her youth. When you grow up, when you become an adult, then your husband will take care of you. Okay, and by the grown-up sons in her old age. By the grown-up sons in her old age. So now they will not allow you to free or do your things on your own, but they will just keep you under this four walls like thing, and they will just do the things in the name of protecting the things and the things. So this is proper social behavior. So it is stated by him that this is proper social behavior according to the Manu Samhita. So again, he is referring to the Manu Samhita. But modern education has artificially devised a puffed up concept of womanly life. So feminism is indirectly this referring to. And so he is also striking this this modern education system. Like, but modern education has artificially devised a puffed up concept of womanly life, and therefore marriage is practically now an imagination in human society. So how this marriage concept is also taken, like, in a way, it seems from this argument that Prabhupada might be supporting the marriage system and the feminine system, that women should remain in the closet of one's home. Okay, so it was the thing. And now let us see what feminist, the very fundamental, rather the seminal feminist, Simone de Beauvoir, has to say. So Simone de Beauvoir echoes different in her, the second sex, 1949. So it was originally written in French language, and later on it was translated in English language. So the second sex it was the so few here in that she states, like, few tasks are more like the torture of Sisyphus. So we all are aware of the myth of Sisyphus, that doing the simple, the common things, monotonous thing all the day. There is no meaning at all. But so few tasks are more like the torture of Sisyphus than housework. So he's even, just putting her housework or the woman's housework more painful than the work than the work done by Sisyphus himself. So with its endless repetition, so the endless repetition is there, like the Sisyphus is having this, putting the stone on the zenith of a mountain. At the end or at the evening, the stone will roll down, and he has to do all the things continuously without asking for any meaning. So here with its endless repetition, so it can be connected, like women's daily task. So she has to prepare food, she has to make bed, and she has to do so many tasks. So it keeps on happening in a cyclical manner. So there is no scope of something novelty in her life, especially when the marriage institution is there. The clean becomes soil. The soil is made clean. So here, this chores, 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 or day-to-day task done by women in the home is referred to it like the clean becomes soil. Okay, whatever is clean is soiled by the house of this holder, or rather those who are dwelling in the house, like husband, son, and all the people are there, other than who's the woman. And the soil is made clean. Now the soil, that whatever is tarnished, that whatever is made inappropriate, will be appropriated by the woman which is living there in the home. The soil is made clean over and over, day after day, over and over, day after day. So it was the thing, and just move. So I have taken some more quotations from the second sex by Simone de Beauvoir. So let us read one by one. So the curse which lies upon marriage is that too often the individuals are joined in the weakness rather than in the strength, each asking from the other instead of finding pleasure in giving. So everybody is looking into what happens is basically this marriage institution are there to generally it is argued that to satisfy your four needs, first is physical need, second one is mental, third one is emotional, and fourth one, especially it falls on the part of women, it is your this financial needs. Because earlier days women were not allowed to go outside, as we saw in this purport of Manu Samhita recently. So they were not allowed to go outside and work for themselves. So they had to be, but not in the shelter of any male or any patriarchal patron. And the second quotation, so it is the allusively reference in that. So it breaks the rules that was proposed by this Manu Samhita here. So to be feminine is to show a second thing. To be
Is it? Maybe that cable has been disturbed, so it is disconnected. Probably.
shall I have to share the screen again, sir? Okay.
You share again, and then you can
Yes.
continue.
Sir, what was the last point I was referring to? So I can continue from that when I got disconnected. Can anybody say, please? Uh-huh. 9 slide.
स्लाइड शुरू बची
Achha, but I have to share it.
अच्छा शेयर
No. Now it is visible on your screen or not? Okay, thank you. Slowly. Achha, loading is happening. Speak clearly. Okay, now it is visible, right? So can I continue from this very slide or should I go previous one? Okay, okay. So thank you, sir. Yes. Okay. So here we were referring to this like to be feminine is to show oneself as weak, futile, passive, and docile. The girl is supposed not only to primp and dress herself up, but also to repress her spontaneity and substitute for it the grace and charms she has been taught by her elder sister. So we were referring to the already, just were having their the women who were having mindset of patriarchal mentality. So it was the elder sisters are referred to them. So like in Indian context, if we find personally observation, if we apply on that, then we will find that people, especially the ladies, are preparing the fellow or the younger ladies to do this home these chores and other things to just please the man or the husband that she is going to marry with. And any self-assertion will take away from her femininity and her seductiveness. So any self-assertion, so she is not self-assertive, that she cannot see that I want this. She has to say, okay, you can take this from me. So these things and how we idealized it in this, like we call them Devi or goddess, because Devi refers to the mother, and once again the mother is supposed to be a giver, not to be an achiever. So in that way, we subjugate the female, the feminine identity, especially being in the predominant male, this patriarchal society is the predominant by the male figures. The third quotation is like, woman is set up in a kitchen or in a bodho, and astonishment is expressed. So here, this reference that woman is set up in a kitchen or in a bodho, and astonishment is expressed that her horizon is limited. So as the limitation was seen in this purport by Bhagavad, Prabhupada, when he was referring to Manu Samhita, that she should be given protection in different stages of her life. So her wings are clipped, and it is found deplorable that she cannot fly. Let but the future be open to her, and she will no longer be compelled to linger in the present. Okay, so the this future will be cut out from her life, and this she will have to linger in the present only. So whatever is given to you, you have to be happy within that. You cannot ask for more, or you cannot just take from less also. So this kind of subjugation or this kind of hierarchical positions are there due to this binary opposition. So why that is why it is called the hierarchy in a miniature. So it is somewhere it is there. So we have to identify that thing while reading all such things. So it is called, it is the thing that deconstruction does in while criticizing or while interpreting any text. So to catch a husband is an art. To hold him is a job. So here is very kind of catchy sentence like, to catch a husband is an art. Is an art means you have to be attractive. You have to conform to the standard that a male wants from you. Being a female, that is why then you can catch a husband. You have to be beautiful, or the different standards are there, varying from culture to culture. The beauty standards are there, some other standards are also there, and to hold him is a job, which means like you have to be what he likes to be you, or what he wants you to be like. So to hold him is a job. So it is very catchy sentence, very oft quoted sentence given by Simone de Beauvoir in his The Second Sex book. Okay, then let us move ahead. So it was all about the deconstruction reading, and here are my works cited. Thank you so much. And here I propose the question series also. I'm just okay, now questions please now.
Niro, my question is, do you find any common background in deconstruction and Yale School critics?
Achha, so your question is, can you find, or is there any common background in deconstruction, or the theory of deconstruction, or the thought of that? And Yale School critics, yes, definitely, they do share one common idea that was proposed by Sir Jacques Derrida. So the deconstruction theory, as we discussed, in a bit, a kind of superficially, not very deeply, because there are many sign and play and all the things are involved there. Metaphysics are also there, and many other things are there, like readings are connotative, denotative readings. But here there is a kind of seminal thing, that is the theory upon which this Yale School revolves. Like that is the deconstruction theory there. Okay, so all five have something different, something they vary from one another in several manners, but they all come down when it comes to the deconstruction theory. So whatever they do, they are just referring to, or rather, they are just discussing in favor of this deconstruction theory. That is why this Yale School is considered like this school of deconstruction or American deconstruction. So are you satisfied or want something more? Thank you. The next, please.
Neither. My question is deconstruction is destruction of any kind of text or work?
Well, so your question is deconstruction is destruction of any kind of text? So yes, definitely it does destruction of any text. Why? Because it breaks the hierarchical. This hierarchical miniature is there in any text. Whenever the binary is proposed in any text, so it destructs. That is why it is called deconstruction, but in a positive way. So it is not just criticizing it or speaking bad word or speaking this Asiatic version of this text also. but it deconstructs in a favor like that it puts or it highlights the hierarchy. What is this? The conflict, this conflict of superiority and inferiority, or the master-slave relations are there. Okay, so the many relations are there. So in that manner, it is destructive while reading the mythical or this structuralized text in that way. So satisfied or not? Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you then. Thank you.